big story today is one we've already felt outside, the heat wave. As we speak, the IMD's issued a red alert to several parts of the country. The key advice you're going to hear again and again is stay indoors. But almost 75% of India's workforce has to stay outside. They're dependent on heat-exposed labor. A new survey that we actually have visuals of opened up right behind us right now. These are visuals coming in from different parts of right here in New Delhi. We'll give you a deeper dive into what each of these visuals means in a second. But this new survey suggests that it's actually even hotter outside than it actually seems.
That's right. So on TBC, we thought we'll show you some super interesting pictures. You've just seen a glimpse of it. This is a survey done by Greenpeace. And in this heat map, it sort of tells you what the thermal imaging camera can actually detect. Different parts of the city is detecting different sort of spots and telling you which are which are the hottest, some which are getting cooler as we speak. So let's start with this one that we have for you over here. Now, what you see here is Khan Market with a thermal camera. What you see is different levels of color. The color coding here suggests that yellow over here, you see that mark over here is the hottest, and then they go into the cooler zone. Now, what's interesting here? Let me try and mark a couple of areas for you. If you see the exposed land, all of that, the hottest, no-brainer, right? But look at little shelters. Every time somebody comes under the umbrella, the shades start to get cooler over there. This probably looks like a shade or a tree. That's the reason why this area is also looking much cooler. So this indeed telling you, and this guy, you can barely see an imaging, burning up in heat over here because of the exposure. And the minute there is a little of a shade, it begins to get a little cooler. And Toya there has more images for you.
Right, so that's one set of visuals coming in. As we just showed you, these were visuals coming in from Khan Market. But next, we have this visual coming in from India Gate. So remember, for each image, we're showing you first what it looks like to the naked eye. So when you're looking at it, these are visuals that have come in from India Gate. Remember, all of these visuals are coming in from the 1st of May. The temperature on the 1st of May in Delhi was 33 degrees. This is what you would have seen in India Gate, the pavilion in front. You can see the plants, the trees on one side, and right in the center you can see the person who's selling bhel. But now let's take you into a zoomed in visual of exactly this. So this is the thermal camera's version of exactly what we just showed you. Take a look over here. Remember the temperature we told you, 33 degrees that day. But as you can see, in different parts of this image, the street worker actually being exposed to much higher temperatures. This is a street vendor in particular. As you can see over here, temperatures soaring all the way up to 45.8, where it gets really light, as you can see. And what's that central focus lens? Over here, the lens shows us 31.6. You'll see the central circle on each of the images. That's the focus of the camera. So around this street vendor, as you can see, the temperature is still a little better. It's 31 degrees, but right over here, everywhere where there is cemented parts, it's rising up to 45.8. So as we told you, this image coming in from India Gate. Let's move on from this to our next image. Our next image comes to you from Nehru Place. Let's just take a look at it after this. Nehru Place open over here, as you can see. This is an image. Nehru Place, remember, is just a few kilometers. It's about half an hour away from everything else we were showing you. India Gate, for example. And we wanted to show you that even half an hour away, it's the same picture. It's 33 degrees over here. And still, as you can see, this is what it looks like to the normal eye. So there are umbrellas, as you can see here, that are covering the entire space up for people. Let's just very quickly, let me walk you over to the heat thermal version of this. Under the umbrellas, it's actually not that cool. Can you tell that even though there are umbrellas there, look over here, the yellow parts as you can see over here, very, very little purple. So it's not actually getting much cooler for the street vendors who are under the umbrellas. It's still really hot because the entire area in Nehru Place has these cemented grounds. This is what Greenpeace found in their study. This is a second image that's come in from Nehru Place right here in Delhi. Let's go back to Sonal. I believe she has one last set of images to show you. Let's go to her.
Yeah, and which were the areas which were actually cooling down a little bit? Let's show you that. Now, the coolest image that they found was perhaps this, right under a tree. Look at how all the places which have not been sort of getting the shade of the tree is what burns up over here. There are pops over here. But largely saying that the minute you come under the shadow of the tree, it gets so much more cooler. So what's the message here? I think we all get it by now. It is that we need more greener pastures to sort of survive all of this as well. But you know, while talking about this, how much of a difference really does good tree coverage make? That seems to be one of the messages that is coming out. And this particular image is coming to us from Connaught Place, one of those areas in the NDMA region in the area where there are a lot more trees. So let's try and see how many people can actually, you know, if you see this image, it's quite interesting how many people are all huddled up under that tree as well.
So the big difference, as we can see, that plant cover makes, that's really the point Sonal has brought home. All of these numbers are from when the temperatures were still 33 degrees in early May. Remember, right now the temperature is 42 degrees. And to tell you more, we've already got with us right here in studio my colleague Shrishti. She'll break this down for us. But Sonal, what exactly will she be telling us about right now?
Right, Shrishti is here with us. Shrishti, hello and welcome to TBC. We always come to you when we've got some heated things to sort of decode. So this is another one really. The question on everybody's mind when we see pictures like these really burning up, feeling the heat ourselves as well, is how long will it last? Have we seen the worst of it just yet?
Right, good morning Sonal. So like we know, these heat waves have been prevailing over northwest India for a couple of days now. In fact, they started over Gujarat around 15th of May, but northwest India started getting impacted by these heat waves from 17th of May. And as you can see here on the map, the entire northwest India is especially red. So red indicates that the temperatures are high, more than 40 degrees Celsius. But if you see some spots which are slightly darker, then more, these indicates that the temperatures have risen beyond 45 degrees Celsius. It's important for our readers to understand that the temperatures usually remain above 43 degrees Celsius in May. But this time what we are experiencing is that they are remaining above 45 degrees Celsius for an unusually longer period of time. So if you can see Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Rajasthan as well as Western UP, even Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh, these are the red zones, and that is why the weather department has also issued a red warning for these states at least till 24th of May, and yesterday they have extended these warnings to 25th May as well. Now these severe heat waves are declared when the temperature is even more than 45 degrees Celsius and it's 4.5 to 6.5 degrees Celsius above normal. So that really indicates how the unbearable heat waves are really taking a toll on the entire northwest India.
Shrishti, it feels like this summer is far worse than 2023. Can you tell us, do the numbers back that statement up? When I'm sitting here, I'm saying it feels really hot. Wasn't this hot last year? Is that true? And are there more heat waves than ever before, or are we making that up?
No, definitely the heat waves have become more intense, more frequent, and they're lasting over these regions for a very long period of time. Now there's a recent study which has come out by a group of scientists who study the impact of these extreme weather events and correlated with climate change, and they say that these increasing global warming has definitely made these heat waves a degree hotter. And in fact, not just India but entire Asia this time has been impacted by these severe heat waves, and they're getting more intense, more severe and more frequent. Now, if you remember, in 2022, these heat waves started prevailing over northwest India as early as March, and we saw how they impacted the food grains and shriveled the wheat grains in Punjab. Then last April also we saw how West India recorded one of its hottest April on record, and this time we saw an unusually long heat waves in Orissa and West Bengal. Orissa, if you remember, the heat waves lasted for over 18 days, which even triggered instructions by the government to change the school timings for children because they are most vulnerable. And this time, Delhi, we have seen that for the last 3-4 days, the severe heat waves have really extended across the entire capital. Najafgarh recorded 47.8 degrees Celsius, which remains the highest this season, and in fact, for the last 2 days, the temperatures are hovering around 45 degrees Celsius. It's also important to understand that, people are not getting relief even during the late evening and night hours when, temperatures around 29 to 30 degrees Celsius. So there's no relief coming in from there as well.
Yeah. But Shrishti, can I ask you this? There are, data and points that are coming out that sort of suggest that increase in these heat waves and the heat condition will be sort of catastrophic over the next few decades. Some saying that there will be parts of the country that will become almost unlivable. How are we to interpret this?
So Sonal, all these studies that scientists have been conducting really kind of raise concerns about the impact of heat waves. We should not panic, but it should raise concerns among the policy makers so that they can really prepare for these heat waves in the coming years. Like we have seen now, even the heat wave action plans have really kicked in. It started with Ahmedabad. Remember that 2010 heat wave when it really led to a lot of high mortality in Ahmedabad. So now at present there are about 23 states which are extremely vulnerable to heat waves in India, and all of them now have heat wave action plans which kick in as soon as the summers set in. There are different kind of instructions for different color coded warnings. There's an orange level warning,
Shrishti,
red level warning.
That's really cool. Just tell us, what are we doing about heat waves as a country? Just because you were saying so many states now have heat wave plans. What does that actually mean on the ground?
Right, Toya. So these heat wave action plans have different kind of instructions for the policy makers and the administration to start planning whenever there are heat waves in place, and the school timings are changed accordingly. It's also important for during the elections time for the Election Commission of India to issue these instructions when the voters go in to vote. So heat wave action plans are extremely important. It's good that India has it, but now it's time for us to really implement them on ground.
All right then, time to implement and get those action plans going. Thanks so much, Shrishti, for joining us with that. So we've now got a fair understanding of how bad it will really get, areas that are most impacted country-wise and even in your city area-wise as well. So what should you now do? Let's talk to a doctor to understand what can we do about it. How can we protect ourselves?
Right, let's bring in Dr. Akshat Chadha. He's a general physician. His expertise, though, is in lifestyle medicine. We thought we'd bring him in so that we can equip you with everything you need to know when you step out. So, Doctor, hello, thank you for joining us. Doctor, how should we prepare if we have to go outside, you don't have an option, and you're going to be outside for a few hours? It's going to be unavoidable.
Okay, so the most important thing is we want to cover our heads. We don't want the heat directly getting absorbed through the hair. So, of course, if you can keep your hair a little shorter, especially the men and women, of course, have a choice if they want to keep their hair a little short. But wearing a hat or a nice cap or just using an umbrella is something which will really help to cover the head. Second is choose your clothes. Don't wear very dark, black, dark blues. Like this is a dark blue shirt. I wouldn't really recommend wearing this, directly under the sun. A little bit, whiter, yellows, light yellows, pale yellows. And cotton is something better, and looser clothes is definitely recommended. Tight-fitting shirts, tight-fitting pants, not really recommended. Really makes your skin also itchy and, sweaty also. And I think carrying at least half a liter to 1 liter, whichever is comfortable for you, carrying at least half a liter of water, which can be refilled, because I'm sure you're going to need more water throughout the day, especially if you're going to spend 6 to 8 hours outside the day. So having at least these 3 kind of checks in place, and also if you can keep a check on your footwear. You don't want, of course, it has to be, if you can wear covered footwear, it might be useful. Just wearing chappals or, those, like the bathroom slipper types might not be a very good idea. So keeping your feet a little covered, socks, again, the thinner socks which are there, cotton socks are there, that will actually help you a lot.
Right, but doctor, also tell us who are particularly vulnerable during heat wave conditions. We understand kids and older people, would they need to take extra precaution?
Yeah, so it's not only pregnant women or senior citizens, it's even the children, especially under the age of 10 years, but not only the kids. So you have women going through PMS syndrome, you have women going through perimenopause. They also need to be extra careful. And one more group I would actually include would be the people who have migraine issues. Men or women, doesn't matter, but anybody who has migraine issues need to be more mindful. So whatever we've said, when you're going out, you need to be extra prepared. The so-called vulnerable group that you and me have come up with, they need to be extra careful and extra mindful with all the things that I said. But even within the house, when they're sitting, whether you have the privilege of having an air condition, make sure it's serviced pretty well, or you have a cooler, or you just plain simple, just keep like a small towel on the nape of your neck or on your head. It'll actually help you much better. Hydration is the topmost. If you don't drink enough water, you will fall into trouble. And again, when I say enough, I'm not talking about overhydrating. In this season, we tend to overhydrate 5 liters, 6 liters of water. So instead, you want to keep yourself at about 3 liters, between 2 to 3 liters still, even during this season. But what you can do is you can go for more of cooler waters like matke ka pani, or you can fridge ka pani you can have. But make sure you take it out of the fridge, keep it for some time and then drink it, or you mix room temperature water and then drink it. So these are few things that you can do within the house specifically for the vulnerable group also.
Doctor, you already touched on the importance of water, but can you tell us, are there drinks that you'd say stay away from? Is there food that you say we should have, should not have, stuff that's particularly hydrating maybe?
Correct. So I think first let's talk about what's really good. What are the cooling kind of foods and the cooling liquids maybe, okay? So my kind of favorite is, just simple. There's something called as electrolyte water. So anybody who is exercising, and I do recommend exercising even during a heat wave. Of course, you can choose your exercises indoor, outdoor, and you can choose your times. Probably earlier in the morning, later in the night is something that you can choose. But make sure you don't stop exercising. Okay? That actually regulates your temperature better. But anybody who sweats a lot, just 10-15 minutes and you're completely drenched, there's something called as electrolyte water. You don't have to keep buying things like ORS and Electrol and all, but just an electrolyte water, which is lemon water. That's about half a lemon in a glass of water, salt, and you need jaggery. If you don't want to put sugar, everybody prefers jaggery now, so jaggery. So you need, because you tend to lose so many vitamins and minerals, and the salts can come down when you're sweating. So a good electrolyte water can be carried as, during workout also, or within the house also. Anybody who's within the house at least can have one electrolyte water per day. Then you have other options like there's sabja seeds. So you can take about 1 or half a teaspoon of sabja seeds and about half a liter of water and sip it in the first half of the day. That's really good. Then there's coriander seed water. There is soft water, fennel seed water. Yeah. So, just about a teaspoon, boil it in water and you can sip on it a little bit.
Right. Doctor, I want to understand some bits on heat strokes now. If we have so many people around us now, we hear get heat strokes, are there any particular signs one must watch out for in our own body or when we look at others to know that something serious could be happening?
So a trigger could be anything, a faint feeling, like you said, excessive sweating, or even a little bit of more sweating than you do usually. Or sometimes what happens is due to heat, you're not sweating. And that's actually a very, very uncomfortable feeling. You're not sweating and you just feel the heat kind of building up. The head kind of gets, really, if you touch your head also, you feel that heat. And even if you touch your feet, you can actually understand there is heat coming. So at such times, there is nothing. You have to find shade. If possible, like I said, if your legs are feeling warmer, put it in water if you have the option. If you have the option, put it in water. I remember I was traveling. There was a point where my feet were like really, I was wearing socks and shoes. I really just removed it and I found literally a puddle and I just kept my feet in the puddle, and it was just 2 minutes and I felt better. Eventually I sat down, drank some water, and then I felt better. But this is all that you can do. So the one that you can prepare yourself to do is carry enough water with you so that even if you have to put it on your head or put it on your feet or just keep it on your neck, that's something that will help you immediately. Of course, there are few drinks like even that. I think everybody must have heard of sattu.
Right.
If anybody who's out for maybe more than 3 to 4 hours, just carry 2 tablespoons of sattu powder in like a shaker or in a bottle. Just put salt in it and put a little bit again. Lemon is a choice, but if you're carrying it, just put salt and sattu and a little bit of pepper if you want. Make sure you put water in it, shake it, and drink it. Even that will give you not only it'll give you cooling effect, but it'll actually give you enough energy for the next few hours that you need to keep going.
Dr. Akshat, thank you. Those were some excellent tips, and they're all tips we'll make sure to implement. All of us are wearing dark colors right now, so that's something we'll change going forward. But Doctor, thank you for joining us. Now, because this is India, amid the scorching heat, you also have so many stories of good Samaritans and of innovation. There is, for example, Khushi Pandey in Lucknow, whose foundation went viral last year for giving out gamchas to protect vendors, keep them safe in the heat. This year, they're giving out caps, they're giving out cold water to those who need it. You also have Kolkata's Krishna, who realized that even plants deal with heat stress. And so what she's gone and done, and this is different from what we just showed you. These are visuals coming in right now from Lucknow, but this is Krishna from Kolkata. And because she realized plants can also suffer from heat stress, she took cardboard from delivery boxes, turned those into protectors for the plants. So even the soil of the plant now stays wet in the heat.
Quite ingenious, right, that one? But there's also, you know, your heart goes out for those traffic police constable who in this heat are out there in the middle of it, sometimes for several hours without a shade. But they, in Vadodara, the traffic police found another ingenious idea. They've sort of had an AC contraption or a vent attached to their helmets. So it keeps their head cool. Like the doctor was also saying, your body regulates heat from the head and feet mostly. So that is the area that keeps them pretty cool. So that's a good one coming in from Vadodara there as well. All right, so that is all you need to know about heat, how to protect yourself, how to prepare yourselves as well. So on that note, this is just a reminder again to stay hydrated.